Welcome to Resoundingly Human, the podcast by Informs. I'm Ashley Klimp, and each week we explore how analytics, operations research, and AI are transforming our world, from policy and healthcare to business and beyond. This week, we're kicking off 2026 with a conversation that should set the tone for what's ahead. We're joined by the new Informs president, someone whose work spans academic excellence, leadership, and a deep commitment to the ORMS community. I'm thrilled to welcome Mark Lewis, the 2026 Informs president. When he isn't standing at the helm of Informs, Mark is a professor at Cornell University, conducting research that explores stochastic processes, optimization, and decision-making under uncertainty, and has long been a leader in connecting research with real-world impact. Today, we'll dive into his vision for Informs, his reflections on the profession, and how he hopes to guide the organization forward in 2026. Mark, welcome to Resoundingly Human.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. So Mark, congratulations on stepping into your role as Informs president. Can you share what it feels like to begin this year at the helm, and what's top of mind for you as 2026 gets underway?
So first thing I should say is it feels amazing and a little bit apprehensive. So I'm still humbled by the idea of even being elected the president of such an illustrious organization. And I know I have a lot of tough acts to follow. So my predecessors, even going back over the last 5, 6, 7 years, which I've been sort of paying more attention lately, it's just been an amazing set of people. So following those people in their footsteps is going to be tough, but I hope I'm up to the challenge. So you asked me what's on top of mind. I guess the first order of business coming into this year is really just setting the agenda for the year. And we'll have a meeting coming up in the next week with the board. And the whole idea is to lay out what we want to do strategically over the next year and maybe even beyond my time as president. And see where our focus is going to be to get started, hit the ground running. A couple of areas that I should probably mention that I think are sort of on people's minds, and you can be assured that Informs is thinking of that as well, is the area of AI and quantum computing. We have ad hoc committees already set up for those two areas. We'll have a couple other areas that I'm very much interested in setting up ad hoc committees in, but we'll have to see what the board says. Those areas include energy and sustainability, and then humanitarian aid and things like that have just really, I think, seen a little bit of a downturn in the last year. And Informs, I think, can fill that void to try and help us explore where we can have an impact there. There's also other areas of growth that I think Informs should consider, and that is outside the United States, maybe in Asia Pacific, maybe some areas in Latin America, maybe continuing our connections with the European Union. So lots of things to do. We have to really get to work, but we're going to set the agenda over the next couple of weeks.
Excellent. Well, on behalf of Informs staff, we're very excited for all that is in store for us this year. And I want you to be assured that the Resoundingly Human podcast is on top of your initiatives with AI and quantum computing. I actually have a quantum computing focused podcast next week, so I'll be learning a lot.
Okay. Let me know what you learn.
I will. So, Mark, you have a long and distinguished history with Informs. Can you tell us a little about your first connections with the organization and really how it shaped your professional journey since then?
I really had two connections, I would say. One of them is really my technical expertise, but it turned out that it was just a wonderful community to join. That's the Applied Probability Society. I joined the APS when I first became an Informs member. I've been involved with that group ever since. What I found there is lots of mentors, lots of friends. I learned a lot. And they were very much an open community to join. At one point, I became the chair of that society, and during that time, we were thinking about trying to start the stochastic systems journal. And so I'm not taking credit for having started it, but it happened around the time I was being chair. I got to organize co-organize the APS conference at Cornell some number of years back. So that's one community that I've really enjoyed being around. I think it expanded me from a technical perspective. I could tell lots of stories about visiting colleagues and friends of mine and learning from them. And so that was just an outstanding place to start. At the same time, early on in my career, I helped start the Minority Issues Forum. And that I guess I would call my affinity community, or if you would call it that. That's been like about 25 years. Oh, in fact, it's been exactly 25 years last year, because Shannon Harris, who's the president of MIF, organized a big gala in Atlanta at last Informs meeting, which is just an amazing thing. And she's an amazing leader. So I got to see that started. early on, where we were just really a few people having lunch together, grew kind of the same way the women in ORMS grew. And then to step back away and to watch the younger people take over, it's just been outstanding things. See them leading that whole enterprise. And we've expanded to having student prizes and early career prizes, and really all, not me, really all on them, and taking them and watching it become a bigger part of us. So those are my two main places where I spend my time, and I've been very happy to do so.
That's terrific. So your field and that of other Informs members, your fellow Informs members, is continuing to grow and evolve with AI, sustainability, public policy, and societal impact taking center stage. Where do you see Informs playing the most important role in shaping this future?
This is a tough question. So I think maybe I'm going to cop out a little.
This is a hard-hitting podcast.
Well, the tough part is in the term most important role, because I don't think that Inform should do a lot, as it has been doing over the last several decades, and so I think that should continue. But there are areas that, as I said earlier, that I really think that we will spend some time thinking about and focusing on. You mentioned sustainability, public policy. I would add energy efficiency into that umbrella of sustainability. And what we do is we really provide a vast array of technical expertise in those areas. And so what do I mean by that? So on the one hand, the people that are some members of Informs are on the ground doing the work, building mathematical models to help us build a better world. At a company, an industry, maybe a government agency. Then there's some of us that are encouraging students to do the same thing, to join that community, providing those students with the background and expertise to be able to join the community. And so to say that I could point to a most important one, I think I can't do that. But we all do have the mantra of Informs in the back of our heads, which is the smarter decisions for a better world. And so I think if I have to bog down to one thing, I think the Informs thing would be to be a gathering space for all those people I talked to you about earlier, the students, the faculty, the industry professionals, those are budding students, budding faculty, et cetera, et cetera. And as a place to gather, as a way to cross-pollinate each other's ideas, as a way to disseminate ideas. All those things are making what Informs is and has been for a long time. So,
thank you, Mark. That was a very well thought answer to a hard-hitting question.
Okay, what's the easy question now?
They're coming up. Don't worry. So you mentioned smart decisions for a better world, which is part of the Informs messaging and tagline. Another part of our important messaging is that Informs is your forever professional home. Yeah. I'd love to hear, what does that mean to you personally, and how do you want to continue to foster that spirit in 2026?
I guess I wouldn't say that people should follow in my footsteps, but that's sort of how I think of it. I do think of the Informs providing at least two places where one should get involved, and that is in whatever technical home you find yourself, being in the ORMS space. For me, it was applied probability. For others, maybe optimization. For some, it may be operations management. It could be lots of different things. And then I think of it as sort of an identity or an affinity home that one might belong to. There's veterans, there's pride, there's women in ORMS I mentioned earlier, there's minority issues forum. So I think that probably that covers a broad spectrum of people. And if you find that, or if you don't find it, you can do like I did and start your own subspace there. But I do think that those two things made it so such that when I wasn't thinking just about Markov decision process theory with my APS friends, I could be thinking about other things having to do with my identity as an African American. So some of my people have an interest in that space. So I think of those two things that's where I started, and that's what advice I would give to others, as to try and incorporate stuff into those.
That's one of the best responses I've ever heard to that. It really captures that Informs and the Informs community is a space for everybody, and that means the full spectrum of belonging. So thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, speaking of advice, what advice would you give to a new member or someone who's just starting to explore what the Informs community has to offer?
Maybe I'm repeating myself, but my advice would be to do what I just described. I would go to whatever your technical home is, and then I would probably say, put yourself out there to the leadership as someone who's interested in being involved. And I can tell you that my experience has been, even with people that are not in the Applied Probability Society or the Minority Issues Forum leadership, other leaders of other communities are very much open and very happy to hear people wanting to come in and volunteer and be a part of the community. So I would certainly say first order of business would be to go meet those people and let people know who you are and what your interests are. That's one thing. The second thing, which may seem a little more daunting, but I think can lead from the first thing, which is that I would probably find a mentor. And for me, I had a long list of mentors, and mentors would be for different things. Like, for example, I was trying to decide which meeting to go to. I would ask a person who had been to several of these different kinds of meetings what meeting I should go to. Or I even got one of my mentors. I asked him about a research topic I was thinking of pursuing, and he said, "Don't do that." So, so I have mentors across the board, and I think in those affinity groups that I mentioned to you earlier, you would find amazing mentors. And then I can tell you, I've been a professor at Cornell for 20 years, but I've been in ORMS. That's my 26th year. And those people that are mentors of me back in 1999 when I started are friends of mine, still mentoring me somewhat today. And so it's a lifelong pursuit and experience for me. So I would definitely encourage people to find those people who are mentors. And for some of you, not all 13,000 members, I may be that person. So seek us out. I guess that's the way to go.
Yep, I think that's terrific advice. And Informs has a really terrific mentoring program to help people get going if they're brand new to Informs. So that's terrific advice. Thank you for supporting Informs initiatives. All right, so next section. This is fun, maybe a little bit easier. I don't know yet. We'll see how you feel about the question. But this is our Ask AI segment, where I let my podcast assistant weigh in on a question. Sometimes it's a thoughtful question. Sometimes it's a little ridiculous. I think this one is thought-provoking. So the question that I asked AI was, AI, if you had to optimize one part of the academic experience, grading, advising, or committee meetings, which would you overhaul first and why? And I'll read to you what AI sent back to me. I think it's pretty good, but I'm interested to hear your perspective as somebody who's in the academic space. AI said, I find all three processes ripe for optimization, but if I had to pick one, I'd start with committee meetings. They often resemble Markov chains with absorbing states, except you never actually get absorbed, just endless transition between circling back and adding that to the next agenda. So, Mark, what are your thoughts?
That sounds like AI hasn't been in very many good committee meetings. It is true that, here's what I would say about that. It is true that there have been times when I've been in meetings that I felt went on longer than they needed to. Mm-hmm. And we felt we needed to fill in the space. And I don't understand why we do that. But that's what we would do. So I understand why AI might say that. I would probably say that one of the things that I love about, I happen to be an Amazon scholar as well as a professor at Cornell, but one of the things I love about some of the meetings I've been in recently is every once in a while I hear the phrase, I'm going to give you back X minutes. That means to me that the person has reached the conclusion of all their agenda items and it's time to move on to the next thing. And if you think about the cost of having 25 people in a room, all of whom have other things to do, and you're giving them back each 10 minutes, you're saving 4 hours of CPU time. So it's a good thing to give that time back. So I get AI's point. I would probably have said, grading.
Okay.
Because I think the reason is because I think we have to do that anyway. We're going to have to change how we do things. Mm-hmm. AI's caused it, actually. Because if I do a homework problem, any student who has access to AI, which basically is everybody, can now solve that problem without actually understanding the depth of the question I'm asking. And so I think we'd have to change the way we grade, or at least the way we ask questions. And so that would maybe require an overhaul, which is a good thing, I think, in the end.
Yes.
But that's what I would change.
Bart, looking ahead, what are some of the biggest opportunities you see on the horizon for the Informs community, whether in research, education, industry, or advocacy?
Oh, yeah, this is a great question. First of all, I think that there's a potential for growth for Informs outside of the United States. So I want to figure out where to focus their energy. I know Informs doesn't have an infinite bandwidth, so there's a question of where to focus some of that energy. So one could focus a lot of it in new emerging places. I think Asia is an emerging place. I think Latin America, Africa also emerging places. So how do we focus some of our energy there and divide the energy up in an appropriate way? I don't think that Europe should be forgotten. So there's a long-standing history between us and some of our European colleagues. And so how can we continue to foster that relationship? That's another interesting place to spend some time thinking about what to do to expand our opportunities for people there. I do think that there will be a significant downturn in the number of international graduate students. So how do we make sure that some of the universities domestically have access to students, the top people in population for graduate education? That's another thing that I have thought about a little bit, not as much as I would like, but I think we need to spend some time thinking about that. And what that also means is that companies who are mainly domestic are going to need to access that top talent. And so focusing on the second thing I mentioned about the graduate students, then focusing again how to make sure that the companies get access to that talent is another place that I would like to think about.
Okay.
I can go on further if you like, but maybe I'll stop.
I think that's good. I mean, Informs is a global community. It's based in the U.S., but it is a global community, and a focus on inclusivity and access, I think, is really important. So,
yeah. Thank you. I agree.
All right, last serious question, and then we have another fun segment. Okay. As we step into this new year, what's one message, and you can be more than one, that doesn't have to. What is an important message you'd like to send to the entire Informs membership about what's possible in 2026?
I think I would probably say that it's time to re-energize. So I think that I cannot say that we were not energetic before. Certainly the pandemic slowed us down a bit. But with the advent of what's pervasive now, the AI, I think, is just now getting more pervasive than it was. People didn't really know what AI stood for, what it meant. I think now we're starting to see that. And with the fact that we are the ones providing both the mathematical rigor to analyze some of the most difficult problems around, and because ORMS is so interdisciplinary, that this is a time for us to re-energize and put our footprint, our foot stamp, if you can, on some of those areas like AI and quantum computing. So that's probably what I would say. And I think, by the way, I think that also that the fact that some of us are more, let's say, mathematically inclined on our research, and there is a gap between what you can prove and what you can implement, it is high time that we merge those two sections of Informs. Mm-hmm. So the industry connections that we can build, because industry is actually using some of the most technical things that one can imagine. I've seen this as I said, as an Amazon scholar. I think now is the time for us to really get involved, cross-pollinating between academia and industry. So that's what I would say.
Okay, yeah. All right, Mark, our time together is unfortunately drawing to a close. We're going to end with some short rapid fire questions. So just say the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
Okay, if you could grab coffee with any figure in analytics or OR history, past or present, who would it be?
David Blackwell. I can tell you why if you want me to. Easy. It's an easy answer for me. First of all, David Blackwell is without a doubt the most influential African-American mathematician of the 20th century. So I did actually happen to have dinner with him before he passed away. But if I even removed the part of being African-American, which he was, he's still in the top 5. Yeah. So who wouldn't want to get to pick a person's brain who influenced statistics, information theory, dynamic programming, just a broad range of things, how someone could have such a deep understanding of so many things that we're using today. It's just an amazing, I just want to know how. Like, how can I, in my next 25 years on Earth, can I do any one piece of what he's been able to do in his time on Earth? So coffee, I think I want to make it a long coffee, though. We have to get like a...
Just go away for the whole weekend, yeah.
Yeah, David Blackwell, that's an easy answer for me.
Awesome. All right, what's a book, podcast, or even a talk that totally changed how you think about leadership?
Yeah, so this is a good one, too. I think the answer is Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you why. This is still tricky because what I thought before having I listened to the audiobook, so having listened to that book, was that my experience was somewhat unique. And what I found is the idea of feeling like maybe you have been held back and you're able to achieve it to a certain level, and then wanting to make sure that no one who who is being held back after you is unable to achieve. So sort of remove those barriers of moving upwards through a caste system, which I find it to be global through that book. I think that has sort of shaped how I think about leadership. And so I think caste would be it.
Okay. It sounds like making sure that the door stays open for those coming behind you to have the same access and opportunities.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's a skill today that analytics professionals should absolutely be developing, but maybe it gets overlooked?
I think the answer to this one is mathematical modeling.
Okay.
So one can have all the data in the world and not know what to do with it. One can have all the problems in the world and not know how to solve them. But if you're a good mathematical modeler, which ORMS professionals and academics are, you can make a dent in some of those problems. So mathematical modeling for sure is what I would say.
Okay. So outside of work, do you have a hidden talent, quirky hobby? It doesn't have to be quirky, a hobby, or a surprising, perhaps unexpected passion?
I don't know that that I have anything unexpected or
quirky.
So I'm an avid moviegoer. Oh,
Okay.
Here's what is quirky about that is I don't require the movie to be a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I thoroughly enjoyed, which I think probably didn't get high praise in terms of Oscar potential, a movie called I think it's called Step Up. I think it was called Step Up, something like that, where it's basically about teenagers learning how to dance.
Yes.
And so I don't know. That was it's not going to be on Shakespeare's prose list or anything like that. But so anyway,
doesn't matter. Captured an era in America, and
I kind of like that. So that's the kind of thing. I also happen to be an avid poker player. That may surprise people, but I don't know. Okay. I'm not a good poker player, so I'm careful not to say that.
I'm good at poker until I start to bet, and then. All right, last one. What's one big professional milestone or personal goal that you are still chasing?
I don't think I have a professional milestone, so I would say I'm still chasing positive impact. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's ever going to change.
No.
I think even when I retire, I still want that. Yeah. So that's what I want.
I love that. But just the nature of your field that you're in supports that. And...
Yeah.
All right. Well, fangirling a little. Today's conversation is the perfect way to launch 2026. Thoughtful, grounded, forward-looking, and fun. Mark Lewis brings not just technical brilliance to his role as Inform's president, but a deep care for the people who make this field so impactful. His vision reminds us that analytics isn't just about solving problems, it's about building communities and growing opportunity, and creating a better world through smarter decisions. To learn more about Mark's work and Inform's initiatives in 2026, check out the show notes at resoundinglyhuman.com. Mark, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you to our listeners for being part of the Inform's community. Be sure to like and subscribe in YouTube or on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Share the podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Take care of yourself.